feel like full moons always get people in a frenzy, like, oh shit, what's gonna happen? It's kind of funny when I was a kid, my mom used to always say, oh, it must be a full moon out, all the crazies are out, you know? She used to say that. Maybe she shouldn't have, but I feel like there's always this like negative connotation or like emotional buildup whenever full moons come around and people become like super stressed out about it. But I think that just enhances when we have a full moon lunar eclipse, and that's what we're going to be experiencing on March 14th. Full moons usually mean completion or an ending of something, the way that new moons mean new beginnings. And so when we are experiencing eclipses, especially during full moons and new moons, this just heightens the energy. And we're actually going to be experiencing the full moon total lunar eclipse in Virgo this time around. You're probably sitting here looking at this video like, girl, what does that mean? And I'm actually going to explain it. So the full moon total lunar eclipse is asking us to let go of our perfectionistic side. You gotta think Virgo is a sign that loves to comb through the details and really pay attention to the smaller details of things, but this can be a good and bad thing just because, yes, we are holding ourselves accountable and critiquing ourselves in a certain area of life, but at the same time, we can really ruminate about the details and get stuck on those. And this full moon is kind of asking us to forgive ourselves and to forgive other people. This full moon may feel a little bit more intense just because we actually have the full moon conjunct to the moon's south node right now, which our south node really asks us to let go of negative patterns. But at the same time, the sun is conjunct to the moon's north node, trying to push us forward to what's next. During this full moon and eclipse season, we're really being asked to observe what we need to change about ourselves, especially when it comes to our self-worth and the way we criticize ourselves. This will actually give us a new perspective on life because we may have not been realizing these bad habits that we've built over time. But don't worry, the full moon is going to kick that energy out of the way and kind of force us to start anew, especially when it comes to spirituality and the way that we express ourselves in that way. One thing that I think is really important to focus on right now is learning how to separate our emotions from other people's emotions. There's kind of a dark shadow side to empathy, which kind of sounds weird to say, but sometimes we can empathize with people too much and make other people's problems our own instead of focusing on what we need to do for ourselves. And it's okay to care about people and want to help them out, but there's a saying that says you can't bring a horse to water. You know, you can only do so much to help people, and it's really important that you learn to help yourself. Right now, like I said, you may be thinking about past mistakes or past issues, depending on which house you're experiencing this eclipse in. And it's okay to put a little bit of focus on yourself instead of trying to worry about other people. It's that Virgo Pisces axis that we're really worried about right now, because Virgo wants to serve other people, wants to help other people. At the same time, though, Pisces, on the other hand, especially with the conjunct of the sun, wants to illuminate the things that we need to stop self-sacrificing about. It's okay to want to adapt to other people, but at the same time, we're kind of drowning trying to figure out what's best for us, and we're not really receiving the same kind of help, and so it's okay to sacrifice certain things if they're no longer serving us. This full moon is a blood moon, which means that it might appear a little bit more red than usual, but this is an intense time for transformation, really understanding our mind-body connection and the way that we can develop that over time, embracing our feminine energies. This full moon is really asking us to start from the ground up, even though it might feel like not worth it to have to start all over because you put in so much hard work, but we really need to be able to dig beneath the surface and realize what habits aren't really helping us in the long run. This is the first out of 3 eclipses that we're going to experience in Virgo Pisces. And, you know, if you think this one is bad, just, wait for the other ones. No, I'm just joking. I mean, it's gonna feel more intense over time. You'll really start to feel the impact of the eclipse throughout each eclipse that we go through. And this one's really just initiating the first steps of change for us. So you might want to push against change a little bit, but realize that change is necessary to move forward. Not only are we experiencing the full moon and the eclipse, at the same time though, the full moon is going to be trine to Uranus. And this basically means that We really want to showcase how unique we are. And we might feel like a sense of anticipation, like we're waiting for something to kick off the eclipse season. And Uranus is really just going to bring this like energy of freedom and independence and really show us what parts of us really need to be highlighted right now. At the same time, of course, though, Daddy Saturn is always trying to teach us some kind of lesson. I'm like, Saturn, please, I don't have the energy for this. With Saturn conjunct to the sun, though, this is really going to lay the groundwork for a new foundation. Like I said, we're releasing old patterns, but Saturn's going to be helping us relay some good foundation to move forward. At the same time, though, Saturn is actually going to be opposite to the moon, which kind of shows us where we need to release our commitment to things that are no longer serving us. At the same time, though, Saturn is going to be sextile to Uranus, which these are two generational planets, two outer planets that tend to make impacting change. And so whatever we experience during the eclipse is actually really going to lay the groundwork for things to come in the future. And this sextile between Saturn and Uranus is really going to support lasting transformation, whatever that is that we experience during the eclipse. You're like, cool, so we have this full moon, the eclipse, Saturn, Uranus. We're not done yet because we are still experiencing Venus retrograde and Mercury retrograde on top of this eclipse energy. And this may make you want to ball up in a corner and cry because, I think about it sometimes, But with Venus there in retrograde, especially impacting all of this energy, our relationships are really being combed through with a fine-tooth comb, We're trying to understand if we're going to level up a relationship, if we're going to leave a relationship, or maybe just change a relationship dynamic. And with Mercury in retrograde here too, communication is going to go a long way. Miscommunication is a lot more easy when Mercury is in retrograde, especially with all these heightened emotions, all these planets coming in with energy. But I think it's really important when it comes to communication to ask for clarification instead of trying to just assume what people feel and think. It's better just to ask, give people the benefit of the doubt. Like I said, energies are very, very heightened right now. So think about how you would want to be treated in a situation. So I explained what all of this means, but you may be thinking, okay, what am I supposed to do with all of this information? Just know that it's okay to be very reflective during this time. Maybe do some journaling, things that help you feel grounded in reality. Like I said, it definitely depends on which house you're experiencing the eclipse in. I'm a Scorpio rising, so I'm experiencing this in my 11th house of networking, social groups, long-term goals, and wishes. So just think about what house you have it in. I'd be interested to see in the comments what house you have it in, and maybe we can talk about it there. But understand that, like I said, change is necessary. It's not always scary, and it's typically for the better. So good luck, y'all.